Not a very good presenter, but I'll try. Okay. And somehow, like after spending some time here and meeting you guys on and off earlier, right? It is feeling a lot more kind of familiar setting than what I thought it would be. Cool. So first, disclaimer: whatever I'm going to say here is based on facts. Okay. There are no creative liberties, and then no animals were harmed while I was making this presentation. Okay, about me as these guys introduced, I'm Tushar, co-founder, CTO of Tudip Technologies, co-founder of Tudip Ventures. And then the interesting thing is, since 2010, when we started Tudip Technologies, most of the big companies, consulting companies in India, they were not focusing on the companies that were trying to do something, in the startup space, right? So we started pretty much our business by working with startups. So for last 14 years, we have been working with startups of various shapes and sizes. And then there are learnings around it, right? So there are some of the success stories, very few success stories, and a lot of failures, right? So I thought probably it would be a good idea to share what we learned along the way, especially from the tech perspective, right? So story time. Okay, and this is again, like, this happened. Okay, so there was a doctor, Dr. Robert Wagstaff. He was based out of Utah. He looked at a dog in 2010 and said, "Does he brush his teeth?" And the answer was no. So Dr. Bob Ditti met him. You met him, right? Yes. I never got a chance to meet. Yeah, that time he was 80-year-old, and this guy woke up and said, "I want to make brushes for dogs," right? He called it Ora Pup, and then for Mayor Muggles, he also made something called Ora Brush, right? And he was saying, like, you buy 2 Ora Pups and you get 1 Ora Brush free, right? That was the idea. Got funded, did great. We did his tech end to end, right? As everyone says, keep it simple. We started with the, the simple, there used to be something called CS cart at that point in time, which is pretty much what Shopify is today. And then integration for payment, fulfillment, the typical story, right? And then we successfully handled huge volumes and huge surges on Black Friday scale sales, And then 2016, Ora Brush died, right? It just died. Now, when I was looking at our portfolio and what we did in the past, right? There are quite a few companies who are basically stuck. Okay, so some of them are stuck and some of them are dead. I'm not sure if it is visible here or not, but for example, Anecdote.nl, the second amazing fashion brand company. They used to have like really good apparels, and they were killing in the Netherlands markets. Disappeared, just disappeared. Okay, so is it all gloomy? Is that the natural life? Like you reach a certain point and then you die. Is this how, like, most of the startup ecosystem works? So the answer to that is no. Ourselves, we have witnessed these crazy acquisitions of our clients. Gemstone Gemfire acquisition by VMware for an undisclosed amount. Okay. Then it was a distributed caching company. Then Tiny Prints, simple direct to print card printing company. They got acquired by Shutterfly for 333 million USD, right? Then Quick Labs, one of our flagship clients, they got acquired by Google. They never told us how much they got paid, or else we would have said, okay, thoda aur zyada rate pada do, maybe. Okay, Whitehead Union. Now, don't blame us, but we were the first, tech partners for Whitehead Union. Okay, Karan Bajaj we met, and Whitehead, all said and done, it's a story, and the timing of it is amazing. Like 2 weeks later, after the acquisition, the tech started crashing. 300 million USD, and then Livongo, another company, we were working. We had been working for like over 10 years now, and they got acquired by Teladoc for $18.5 billion, which is bigger than Facebook WhatsApp acquisition, right? rates किसी ने नहीं बढ़ाए, so we still work on the first rates that were decided. But yeah, it had been amazing. Like when you are haggling with someone for saying ki should it be 3,000 or 3,500 USD, and then these guys get like $18.5 billion. You know, so it's pretty amazing when you see that kind of growth. So what is the difference? So one of the things is like common there, which is like IP, intellectual property, and it is not always tech per se. There are people do different things, you know. So how do you build your tech IP? Okay, it is simple. My charges are 350 USD per hour. First 30 seconds are free, and then no money back guarantee. I can advise you. That's a dirty joke. Okay. Thank you. So first of all, I realized one of the times when we went down in terms of revenue in our journey, we were surrounded by too many consultants. Okay, so you guys know your business better. Entrepreneurs know their business better. So me sitting here and giving gyan about how to build the IP has like you have to take it with pinch of salt of size of Alaska. Okay. So what I'm sharing is basically what I observed. Okay, and in terms of how companies were going about building their tech IPs. So where is your tech IP? So simple stuff, right? Hosting on Shopify, access through Nyka or Myntra, fulfillment through a third party, payment through a payment gateway service, and what you have is just a product, some sales, some margins that you can boast of, and a myth called customer loyalty. Okay? Now, I know you're laughing, but that's pretty much what I was trying to ask you when we were talking that day, right? So does it sound familiar? Okay, so that's what Dr. Bob was doing, right? Exact same thing. So as an investor, when we were talking, that's exactly what I wanted to understand. What is stopping others from doing what you are doing? Then is there an entry barrier? Where is the differentiator? And do you have an IP? And then entire client is like the customer's behaviour, right? So, I mean, that's a fact, right? So first of all, right, and I think that is the baby step that I always believe the smart companies with whom we work, they took, right? So, you cannot improve what you cannot measure, right? But you can't measure if you don't have the data around it. So, I guess like probably in terms of identifying what kind of IP you can build around it, good to start simple and starting with hosted shared solution is great. But there is a time when you have to get it in-house, and if you do not get it in-house, the problem is it becomes like a black box, a cult, which is operating, working on its own, and you have no idea and how it works. And second thing is, as they say, like entrepreneurs have this tendency of discussing failures and bad things just way too much. Me and Dipti spend like half our time discussing what is going wrong. But we never actually ask ourselves, if something went right, why did it go right? Laziness maybe, but we just don't do that. Right now, even if your sales are booming, why are they booming? You don't have any clue, because the data which is shared by Shopify or any hosted service is what you get, right? So I would seriously request that you guys should take it in-house. Deploy it on some VPS, some cloud, but you should have access to that entire content management e-commerce data. It is important, not today, but at some point in time, you guys will start leveraging it. Campaigns. Most of the time that we talk through people, they have outsourced that entire thing to some marketing company, right, which is doing what they are doing, right? But how many opens, how many clicks, who had been revisiting the same emails 20 times? You have no idea, right? You get what you get. Then WMS inventory implementation. One of the things that I liked about Abhishek is he was thinking about it, because at some point in time, this is what is going to give you that that data age in the market. Data accumulation first, and then data reconciliation across the data sources. So there are data that is coming from your Myntra, Nyka. Like how do you actually put it all together and kind of reconcile it, and then actually you do some analytics on it, right? So what I was honestly hoping, and what I think most of the people need to do is have like some set of dashboards, about users, products, campaigns, and orders to begin with, So, and once you have that, probably you would be able to know. So I keep asking, where do you get the orders from, right? And he said like Maharashtra 70%. When we were asking Nest Roots, Chavi, other investors, we asked the same question. But all of them are tentative. No one actually knows where their users are, what is their age group. These are like some fancy answers that everyone gives, but I don't think they have the data. What appeals to them and what doesn't appeal to them. Then how much time do they spend on each product page before buying? And then who are your impulsive buyers? Just sell them anything. You can't do that with the hosted solution. But if you have your own stuff, you can very well do it. And then you basically look at like the checkout and how many people eventually checked out and paid the money. And then you decide where that checkout button has to go. And finally, see, AI/ML, as I was hearing someone in Delhi, he said very interesting thing. He said entire AI/ML is overrated in the short term, okay, and hugely underrated in the long run. Right now, like everyone overnight became AI/ML experts, and so nothing much is going to change in next 6 months to a year. But after that, it is going to fundamentally change how the businesses are working. And in order to have any good AI/ML engine, you need to have the data. You need to have the product data, user data, campaign data, order data. I mean, whatever little I understand out of this D2C market, that's how these are the four things I pick. And then you can have like a better product and user persona fit at some point in time. You can find digital twins. So you can say that X is buying stuff like this. So Y, who basically are more or less same and have some affinity, they should be buying something similar to it. And then predictions about the product life cycle and predictions about what customers want. Okay, cool. So, thank you. It was short.
Thank you, Tushar.